Time is now 7:14. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and Texas Pledge. Thank you for being here tonight. In recognition of the anniversary of the September 11th, I would like to suggest we just take a moment of silence and remember those who lost their lives today. So, a moment of silence, please. Thank you. On behalf of the board, we'd also like to send our condolences and prayers to one of our legend members of the LISD family, and that's Dr. Doug Killow. And so his services will be tomorrow at 5 at LHS, but he will be remembered and loved always. So I know they're taking donations at the Lewisville Education Foundation. Connie, Ms. Pelfrey is here tonight, so if you have any information, you can see her as well, but condolences to the Killow family. Okay, and the meetings of the board are open to the public, but are not meetings of the public. The Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees meets monthly in a regular meeting to receive reports from staff and take action on recommendations from the superintendent. The board receives the agenda and the supporting documentation approximately 10 days in advance of regular meetings, which allows us to ask questions and receive answers to many of our questions in advance of the regular meetings. This change in protocol means lengthy discussions or a litany of questions on every agenda item of the agenda often is not necessary. And as the board, we should have appropriate knowledge and preparation for responses regarding the content of our meeting tonight. So we consider action for items approved in closed session. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay. Motion for that's personal recommendations to be approved by administration?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's a motion by Mr. Miller.
I just would clarify it. I would like to move that we approve all personnel recommendations presented by administration during executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there a second? Second, Ms. Hassett. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. There are no recognitions this month. It's kind of sad. So, anyway, and then anybody personally desired to address the board must fill out a speaker's card prior to the meeting. No presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. The board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included on the agenda. And there's no cards tonight either, so we're going to be quick. Okay, information items. A report on Energy Star program. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a report that Mr. Jason Hughes will present on the great work that he has done, and I please accept my thanks, Mr. Hughes, on behalf of the district for the work you've done to make our facilities energy efficient and to obtain some credible certification to reflect that work. So with that, Mr. Hughes will give his presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, President Cox, members of the board, Dr. Rogers. I would like to give a brief presentation on the Energy Star program and building certifications that we have made a part of our energy management program this year. I would guess that most everyone in this room is familiar with the Energy Star logo, but what is Energy Star really? Energy Star is a EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, voluntary program that helps businesses and individuals save money and protect the environment through superior energy efficiency. The program was created more than 20 years ago, and it identifies the most energy efficient products, buildings, industrial plants, and new homes. There are currently more than 20 types of commercial and industrial facilities that can earn Energy Star, including office buildings, schools, supermarkets, hospitals, and that's just to name a few of those categories. What does Energy Star certification signify? It's important to note that you do not get Energy Star certification to become efficient. You get Energy Star certification because you are operating efficiently. Certified buildings are verified to perform in the top 25% of buildings nationwide. Certified buildings use an average of 35% less energy, cause fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and are less expensive to operate than their peers. Energy Star is also the only environmental program that certifies energy efficiency based on actual, verified energy performance and objective measures of performance. These efficiencies are found in a combination of energy efficient equipment and the operation of that equipment. And of course, the Energy Star emblem has become the most influential consumer symbol in the nation in regards to saving energy. What does it take to get Energy Star certification for our facilities? First, utility bill data and building information is entered into Energy Star Portfolio Manager. This is EPA's online tool for measuring and tracking energy use, water use, waste, and greenhouse gas emissions. Currently, there's more than 40 billion square feet of facilities benchmarked within the Portfolio Manager. Specific building information must be submitted, which includes on-site measurements of many elements. For example, temperature readings, lighting levels, indoor air quality, carbon dioxide measurements, and many other elements. So not only do you have to be energy efficient, but you must prove that you are providing a quality environment at the same time. All information in the application must be verified accurate by a professional engineer or a registered architect. And our utility management firm, Aramark, is doing a great job in helping to provide these services for us in the application process. Once all the information is entered, the online Portfolio Manager tool then calculates a Energy Star score that compares individual facility performance to similar buildings nationwide. Scores of 75 and above are then eligible to receive Energy Star certification. Utility data for all LISD campuses has been entered into the Energy Star Portfolio Manager program. Based on energy consumption alone, LISD currently has a total district performance score of 92. This signifies that as a district, LISD operates within the top 8% when compared to similar facilities nationwide. We started the process this year of applying for individual building certification with Energy Star. The applications were submitted for the following buildings and have been Energy Star certified 2017. You can see those listed there. Since actually turning in this presentation, LISD has been awarded 5 additional certifications, which are not listed here, and those are at the Colony High School, Hebron 9th grade campus, Arbor Creek Middle School, Huffines Middle School, and today we received Durham Middle School's certification. Additional applications are in process with the goal of completing 20 campuses to be Energy Star certified by the end of the year, and of course our ultimate goal is to have all of our campuses Energy Star certified. Why get Energy Star certification? We believe that certification will help to publicize the excellent stewardship of finances, energy, and energy resources that we have here in LISD. The Energy Star logo and a certificate will be presented to each facility, and we will also work with communications to also help to make that public in other ways, social media potentially, and some other different areas. You can see some examples of that here on this slide. And with that, that is the end of the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Hughes? I actually do. Just a quick question. So on our new buildings or new facilities that we build, will they be built Energy Star automatically?
The Energy Star program, you have to actually do the application no matter whether you're trying to build toward it or not, because really the Energy Star is based on the operation efficiency of that building. So it takes into account not only energy efficient equipment, but how you operate that facility. Because you can have the most energy efficient equipment around, and if you run it 24/7, then you're not going to be energy efficient as far as your consumption of that energy. And so we definitely hope that we will have the equipment in place. As long as we operate it efficiently and maintain it appropriately, then we will be Energy Star certified.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Okay, the annual review of investment policy. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Madam President. This item is a compliance item. The Public Funds Investment Act requires the governing board of a governmental entity in Texas to annually review its investment policy. And so we do this about this time every year. And our staff and our now 2 investment advisor firms, both the outgoing firm and the incoming firm, have taken a look at our policies, and we're not recommending any changes at this time, but we do need to publicly make note that the policy has been reviewed and certainly been made available to the board for review. So really this is not an action item, just an information item that the policy is being reviewed.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ball? Thank you. Okay, Career and Technology, the annual update. Dr. Rapp.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. We're pleased tonight to do our CTE annual update through a video that was made possible through the work of Mr. Adrian Moreno and David Zamarripa in communications. We're very pleased to share with you the results of their work today.
In Lewisville ISD, we are proud of the programs that are offered at our career centers and all of our high school campuses in the area of career and technical education. Expecting to serve close to 10,000 students this school year, these courses offer rich learning experiences grounded in real-world applications and settings. The state of Texas organizes CTE programs around 16 career clusters. The Texas Education Agency requires districts to offer 3 of these clusters as a way of preparing students for an ever-competitive global economy. LISD currently offers 33 unique programs in 15 of the 16 career clusters.
CTE courses in general, not just my class, help prepare kids for college or military or just any profession later on that they're involved in.
Depending on the course of study offered, CTE courses can take place at all of our high school campuses, in addition to our specialized centers at CCE and Dale Jackson.
It's giving an opportunity for students to do something that has never been offered in a high school level before.
In the 2016-17 school year, 9,718 students were served in 33 different programs, with an option of 144 individual different course offerings. 18.2% of LISD students participate in one or more CTE courses. Teachers in these various CTE courses and programs generously share their passion and expertise to offer rich learning experiences to students.
As an architect, I tell my students on the first day, I'm not a teacher, I'm an architect. I'm an architect who teaches. And I really see my role in my profession as the first step in training the future generation of architects.
One of the reasons I really love to teach these classes is they're so relevant and so they're really kind of production oriented. We're actually doing the things that they're learning in this class. It's not as much theory as it is actually producing the documents, learning the skills.
LISD students are able to earn certifications as a result of participating in various CTE programs. Certifications offer our students opportunities that allow them to show proficiency around industry-recognized standards in a variety of different fields. These certifications open the doors to students as they pursue post-secondary careers or continuing with their education or training.
We're really training them for one of two things. We're training them for a job in the workforce so they can leave high school and go into a trade profession like construction, a design or drafting position straight out of school. We're also training students for college. We have a college level class, and we're training students to actually go to college to study architecture or a related design industry.
A lot of students come to me and say, oh, I've always wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. That's all I've ever wanted to do. And thankfully, through our program, we get to get them out to the elementary schools and have opportunities in the classroom with teachers and get an idea if that's really what they want to do later on in life, and just get a head start on some things, that they might be doing in college later on.
Last school year, 21 different exams were offered with 826 certifications being earned. This is an increase of 485 certifications earned by our students from the previous year. The increase in the number of certifications earned primarily took place in two areas: Microsoft Office Suite exams offered in Business Information Management 1 and the Automotive Service Excellent exams offered in the Automotive Technology program.
Those certifications gets them, differentiates them from other students and allows them to put that on their college applications and put that on their resumes and really help them whether they're going for a college career afterwards or even something in a skilled labor. They're always going to need those sorts of skills, and it really sets them apart.
One of the great things that I see in our program are those students that get interested and get on to and move on to college and get hooked into an architectural program at another level. We have a recognition of that in our program, and we hang the banners from the different universities that our students attend on the wall in the classroom. Currently, with the alumni that we have from our program, we have students from the LISD architecture program in 5 of those top 10 programs. So we're sending students all across the United States into high-level architecture programs to become the future leaders in our profession.
What I also love about it is it gives the students that don't have the opportunity to go to college the chance at a career that can give them advancement and benefit them and their future family.
CTE instructors have formed partnerships with over 80 local businesses, public service departments, and post-secondary education institutes. These partnerships provide opportunities for students through guest speakers, interaction with industry professionals, facility tours, and internships. During the 2016-17 school year, 158 practicum level or above students participated in an off-campus paid or unpaid internship.
One of the things we do to ensure students' success after they leave our program is we do a lot of collaboration with our business partners. So they make sure that we are up to date on what's going on in the industry today and what direction it's headed. So then we are providing the students with accurate, current information and preparing them so when they go into that dealership or automotive-related job, they are familiar, they already know what's going to be on the new cars coming out, and they'll be a lot more confident.
As written in The Second Machine Age, there's never been a worse time to be a worker with only ordinary skills and abilities to offer, because computers, robots, and other digital technologies are acquiring these skills and ability at an extraordinary rate. With this in mind, programs offered in LISD are challenged to keep a close eye on the ever-changing employment outlook. According to the most recent market outlook, specifically for the North Texas area, employment opportunities in the areas of nursing, operations management, computer system analysis, and teaching lead the list of potential openings in our area through the year 2024. Consistent analysis of this type of data is used to inform program development and ensure that our students leave LISD with employable skills and are future ready.
The most common response I get from whether it's someone in the community or another student is like, man, I wish I learned that. I wish I had the opportunity to learn those things. And those are the things that we're teaching in these classes.
I actually went through this program in high school. Went through the Auto Tech program at Del Jackson, graduated, went to a tech school, and then went on to working. And so then I took that opportunity to come back and host interns and everything, and then this opportunity actually arrived to be able to work here, and so I jumped on it just because I know the effect it had on me personally and how much it helped me, so wanted to be able to show other students the opportunities that are out there for them and how successful they can actually be doing this.
I'm Adrian Marino. I'm the Director of Career and Technical Education.
I'm Doug Emery. I teach automotive technology at Career Center East.
I'm Vanessa Streitz. I teach education and training and hospitality and tourism at Dale Jackson.
I'm Claudia Bell, and I teach at Dwellerman High School. I teach the education and training career pathways.
I'm Kathy Rascon. I teach criminal justice and forensic science at Dale Jackson Career Center.
My name is Chris Carson. I am the architecture teacher here at Career Center East.
I am Margot Phillips. I teach special education at Dale Jackson Career Center.
I'm Luke Purvis, the Media Tech Specialist at Dale Jackson and Career Center East.
My name is Jay Cheatham. I am a teacher here at Hebron High School. I teach a business information management class.
My name is Ben Flenicky, and I teach audio video production at Dale Jackson Career Center. My name is Jordan Canfield. I teach computer maintenance and networking at Dale Jackson Career Center, and I make students future ready.
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 And I make students future ready.
I almost want to start clapping. It's an amazing video, yes.
We're just pleased to provide the form of a video update with this presentation because, as we talked about with the Curriculum and Programs Committee, it's a way to share the message of what we do in more ways outside of here as we look to share the great stories. And not only is our superstar Adrian Moreno here tonight as well, but also Doug Emery is in the back there also, who was in the video. So we're very pleased at what they shared, and if you have any questions, Mr. Moreno's here to provide some answers as well.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Moreno, Dr. Rapp, thank you very much. It was great this year to see all the teachers and the program heads, so whoever's out there, not out there, or up there in the cloud. We have been blessed to be able to provide 15 of the 16 clusters. And the one that we're missing is political science, I think, government and public affairs. I was wondering, if you all have been looking at bringing that on. And the reason, and I didn't put this in a question Friday, but it came up over the weekend as I was thinking about it. It fits really well in this partnerships with the community, right? So we have 3 legislative reps that cover LISD and a state senator who uses a lot of graduates from UNT or that are in their government affairs program or government administration. And there's a natural fit, right? It's kind of getting them ready and sequencing into undergrad and maybe even master's degrees. So, and then I know we do different classes like the business teacher at Hebron feeding into the career tech here. We do some of the same with some of the poli-sci type classes. So just curious, do you think that's something that's not so far away or just really not on the radar at this point?
That is definitely something we can look at. There, as the new TEKS came online for this year, there's some additional course offerings that have come through the government and the political cluster that we can look to see which ones we could possibly offer that wouldn't conflict with the courses offered through our social studies department. But that's something we could definitely look into.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? I just had a quick question for you. So I know this is very popular, and I appreciate and we're so blessed that the district offers this to our students. Are you having any challenges like we were in the past of students trying to get into the classes and not being able to?
Yes, ma'am. We're still having we still have quite a few classes with a waiting list. Our enrollment for the year or for last year, it's kind of leveling out. We only increased about 20 students from the previous year because we're about at what we can accommodate at this time. We know relief is on its way, and when that comes around, we'll be able to provide this opportunity for a lot more students at that time. So the plan is in place to solve the problem. It's just a matter of getting there.
So Dr. Rogers, we need to fast track that career center.
Ms. Cox, it is on first year list of projects, so we hope to open the new career center 2 years from now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moreno and Dr. Rapp.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Dr. Rapp again on external PE update, annual update.
Yes, I'm going to ask Robin Fry and Deborah McDonald to come on up as they provide just a quick report on our numbers for external PE from last school year.
Board members, Dr. Rogers, I'm Robin Fry. This is Deborah McDonald, our external PE monitor. She's been with the program for 10 years, and this is her first time to speak to you in front of the board here. So we want to give you the 2017 external PE annual report, and we want to start with, I hope I'm doing this right. Okay. Sorry, did we turn it off? There you go. You're good. We wanted to start with highlighting what our external PE program, how it addresses a couple of the district's four corners. Of course, we have our student experience, which is providing the students a choice, allowing them to personalize their learning experiences according to their talents. And then, obviously, the community engagement piece, which we're so appreciative of our community partnerships and the contributions that they provide to our students and their expertise for our students, what they provide at their facilities. So we wanted to start with that. I usually start with strategic goal number 5, but we went with our 4 cornerstones instead this time. So, are you pushing for me? In order to standardize our program, this past year, we decided that we wanted to have all of our 140 facilities reapply. We felt like we needed to get everybody on the same page, so we asked everyone to reapply. And Deborah and I created a very short video presentation regarding the LISD policies and guidelines, and I'd like to say, Ms. Brim, that we did not do anything near what communications can do. We're very proud of the work that David does and what communications has been putting out lately. Super job. But we wanted to make sure that our facilities, we wanted to ensure that the quality instruction was being provided for our students. So we wanted to make sure that they identified the TEKS that they'd be teaching in their lessons and with their activities. We also wanted to review the mandatory grading deadlines. That's important. We were getting grades after grades were already due. Grades were going out, so we had to readdress that. And we also expect accurate attendance records are being taken and being followed. And so we provided some information on the 90% attendance rules. So, again, we wanted to maintain that fidelity in our program, so we felt it was important to get everybody reapplying, and so we're up to 130 for this coming year. So by the numbers for 2016-17, our next slide, we had a total of 543 total participants, 425 of those, which is a little more than 75%, being the middle school students. And we understand that high school, they only need the 1 PE credit, so they typically drop off after they've gotten their credit. But we do have a lot of level 1 students that are elite athletes right now that are in their programs, and they need either that first period off or the last period off in order to meet their scheduling deadlines for the program that they're in. We were spread out over 140 facilities this last year with over 30 local cities and 200 different instructors and coaches. And we had 57% of our students, 314, were in level 1, which is the 15 hours or more of their participation in the activity. And 229 or 43% were in the 5 to 14 hours scheduled at 0 hour and not missing any part of the day for the level 2. We had 13 activities last year, bless you, sorry. Dance being the highest participation, and gymnastics, and then middle school swimming were the top 3. These are actually our top 8. The other 5 were really perhaps maybe 1 or 2 in martial arts. We did not have a whole lot. We had 1 in archery last year, so we did not have a lot of participation. So our next slide is just kind of showing you a picture of our top 3. We have the dance spot at the top, we have the Colony Aquatic Center, and then we have Excite Gym. And even though we have a lot of our younger students, our elementary students in this picture, they're going to be an external PE program when they get to middle school. We already know that. So we're looking forward then to continuing to serve over 500 students per year. We're already on track for that this year. And so we have a great program. And I'm talking because Deborah's going to wait for any questions that you have. Y'all have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
So, how in the world do you monitor all of these students by yourself?
It's very hard. I rely on my instructors a lot too to keep open communication. So a lot of emailing, phone calls, as well as the physical calls. So, and they have to report absences over 3 to me, to call my attention to that. Otherwise, I'm just,
Okay. And if I may, I'm just going to say that's one of the reasons why we did the video and did the reapplication, because over the 10, 11 years of the program, some of the folks that were in the very beginning, they were still wanting to turn grades in on a piece of paper through the student or whatever. So we've gone to digital reports for grades. We've done a lot of improvement just so that she can then spend her time to get out and monitor the programs.
And I'm sorry I didn't ask this earlier, and I should have, so you might not have the numbers, but have you seen our participation in external PE grow? Is it stable? I mean, what does that look like?
This is our 5th year in a row to be at 500 or more students. So from my numbers, we were at 432 in 2012-13, and from then we've been at over 500 for the last 4 or 5 years.
Ms. Prosnick.
I just wanted to thank you for adding the fidelity to the process for all of the centers where our kids go. And part of that process is making sure the TEKs are being taught at those centers as well. And as an end user, from Ms. McDonald, I can tell you that your communication is outstanding. As a parent whose child participated in this program, for the number of children and as wide of a range that you travel, really quite well done.
Thank you. And she does do a great job.
Mr. Miller.
I'm going to pile on with the kudos with 2 stories. External PE, I think, is an area where we can use that to draw students to or back to public school, specifically ISDs, not other options. But a faith-based leader in the area brought his 3 kids back. Oldest was able to do equestrian as outdoor PE, and so we got the other 2 little kids with it as a bonus, and they are loving being in a part of LISD to the point where it's a prominent part of his discussions during the week. So thank you for those options. The second is my neighbor graduated. I walked across stage last year. He went to Marcus, and he played for FC Dallas, so was able to work out something. He and another kid, and I can't remember, the other kid went to Columbia, I think. He first signed at Cal Poly, but then when UCLA had 7 players go pro in soccer, money opened up, and he plays for them right now. And he was at FC Dallas, and so he could have gone over with all the other kids to that go to school at Frisco something, where a lot of the FC players go. And LISD worked it out for him to do some things here. And he will sign to go pro in January. So it's great that we have this flexibility, and especially for kids who say, I don't want to go to something over there. I want to stay here and graduate where my sister did or be with my friends. And so this flexibility helps us. These choices help families make school choice a better option in public schools. And so thank you guys for doing this and making it so great.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Rogers, you're up for the committee's task force update.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. I drew the short straw on this, and I don't have a video. So, but this is actually, and I should have had it watermarked as a draft because this is really a draft. But this is sort of the culmination of 2 or 3 months of discussion at the leadership team level, as far as what we discussed last year. As far as we've got all these different groups, and what do we call them? Do we call them a committee? Do we call them a task force? And how do you become members of it? And so really this is our first step. We took everything that we have, and then we tried to develop categories. And then we took a stab at, how do you become a member of it? And I don't know if you saw, but also attached to our answers to your board questions was an application that we've actually created. We're not finished, and we're certainly open to your input on this, but we do believe a couple things. One, as we form these new groups, committees, task force, one, we need to be clear what we're going to call it up front according to the category, how members are going to be selected, make sure we take attendance, those types of things. Some, as you see, are going to be governed by statute. I mean, there are some things that the board has to approve by statute. There are other things that we need you to at least be aware of the membership, how the members were chosen, what the purpose of the committee is. We'll give you regular reports of the work of the committee. And then there's some things like work groups that you're not going to be aware of because Craig Martin in purchasing is going to get together some principals to talk about, hey, what photograph vendor do we want to use, and what's our experience with the past vendor. And so, but this is really sort of our initial work on this and so we will refine it. We'd love to have your input, and then we'll sort of try to get this finalized and move from there. So I'll be more than happy to entertain any questions.
Ms. Sheffield.
So, Dr. Rogers, is this something, particularly on those community committees, that we'll have that we can house on the website so people know, hey, I'd like to be involved at a district level, and there would be a contact? Is that something that we would have there, like under our community tab or something?
Yes, ma'am. And actually, whenever communication sent out an email about getting involved in different areas, we've already put sort of a link to the application and, hey, what types of things would you want to get involved? So we already put the application, but we see it as, for instance, we've got to create, and this is fallen to Dr. Coburn, but we've got to create a committee to look at school start times. Once we publicize that, okay, this committee is about to begin to be formed, we'll send out application. We'll make sure we post it. Hey, do you want to be involved in it? And then we'll develop some criteria. I mean, we can't have 300 members on the committee, but we'll develop some criteria on how to select members for that committee.
Any other questions? Just to piggyback off Ms. Sheffield, Dr. Rogers, so is that something that could be in Skyward as well, or, you know, you're asked as a parent, do you want to be involved? Is that strictly for the campus, or could that be for some of this?
No, certainly we could use Skyward, Skylerts, I guess is what some type of alert system to notify people that, hey, this option is coming up, whether it's, calendar committee or whatever. So, we'll use whatever mechanisms we can to get the word out. We want input. I mean, we're better when we have more input. So, but we felt like, and we know it, we felt it was a fair concern from the board in the past is, hey, how are these committees put together? Who attends when? And so we will make it clear that, hey, if you can't keep the commitment in a nice way, we're going to remove you and replace with someone that can make the commitment.
Ms. Timish.
I really appreciate, the initial work on this. And as we look at each different task force leadership team committees, are we looking at overall at all the committees so we're really diversifying so we don't have one person that's on 5 different groups?
That's a great question. Yeah, we don't want, and excuse me, but I'm an old Baptist, but we don't need a Baptist church thing that 10% of the people do 90% of the work. I mean, certainly there are people that are more they're more voluntary, and so you like to pull from that. But we've got to make sure that we don't that we use as many different people on our committees as possible.
Any other questions?
Just a comment. I believe that when you have to fill out your Skyward forms for your child, it does ask a parent if they want to volunteer. And I was pleased to see that there were choices that you checked this year, whereas before it was just volunteer and you just didn't know where that went or what happened to that. I didn't check anything though, so sorry.
And you are correct. We did change that this year to use that as a good way to get some volunteers. We'll let you slide on not signing up.
Any other questions? Mr. Miller?
I would just add to that. I think there's the acquisition of parent interest. There's community member interest, which perhaps place up on the website, get involved, something like that. People fill out forms. I mean, most political subdivisions have a process for applying for certain things, and so it draws them in. And then I'm particularly interested in how we pick staff, especially of those that have some statutory responsibility that the board has to take the input from that group. How are they selected in combination with community members and with parents? All 3 of those are come together. The District of Innovation would be one of those as an example. So as you look at that, kind of addressing it holistically.
Yeah, and we'll shore up that system. Give you an example. The Academic Calendar Committee, we've always, as far as staff, we've always wanted to have someone from professional learning there because, it affects, the calendar is affected by professional development days. We've always wanted to have someone from testing and accountability there because our testing calendar dictates part of our academic calendar. So some of that we pick out of necessity, but we'll work on the system as far as to make sure there's some balance.
Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Okay, the Lewisville Education Foundation update. Dr. Bonner.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Cox. Dr. Rogers, I appreciate the opportunity to welcome Andy Eads, LEF Board President, to visit with us a little bit about all the great things that LEF has going on and the events and activities moving forward.
Perfect. Thank you. It's a delight to be with you all tonight. And I was just telling our executive director, Connie Pelfrey, I said we were together Friday night over at the Marcus game, and then Saturday night at LEF, and then again Monday night, and regrettably tomorrow night I know we'll all be together again for Doug Killo's service. But it's great to be here with you all tonight and to represent LEF and all the wonderful things we're doing. This is y'all's quarterly update, and if I can drive this device, perfect. It worked great. LEF has been partnering with the LISD since 1990, and we had a great event. It was, listen to the drum roll, a record-breaking event on our income on Saturday night, $209,000 for LEF. I know that's an applause line. So very, very pleased about that. The evening of education, our theme was the magic of learning, and we were glad to have y'all with us that night. I'll tell you, we had a great idea from one of our employees at LEF. Shara Robinson had a great idea and said, let's do our fund a grant in the memory and honor of Doug Killo. And we were very pleased to report that we had $9,600 raised in his honor. We're going to do a grant later this year. And so it's not too late. If you want to honor Doug Killo, we would love for you to get on the LISDEF.com website and make your contribution in his memory, and we'll be happy to add that to that $9,600 so we could do something great with that next year. And so we're very pleased about that idea that Shara had. Here's just a few more pictures of our event. We had a great attendance, great auction items, silent auction and live auction. We had over 20 food vendors from across the district, and I'll tell you, that's what really pleases me, that it's really not East Side or West Zone or Central Zone. It really is a true outreach and support from across the district. And if you also look at this list of our sponsors, it really represents the great relationship that we have with our business community. Number one, your vendors here at the district, and we appreciate your support with that, but also just major employers here in the district and people who know the importance of what we're all trying to do at the district, which is have an educated workforce moving forward. Saturday night, we were able to honor one of our own, RL and Brenda Crawford. And RL is a LHS graduate from 1958. And for those of y'all who were there, you got to see that he brought, his whole table was filled with LHS graduates that he graduated with in 1958. So it was really a fun time to have everybody there, and especially our fighting farmers were in the house with RL and Brenda Crawford. They had a true understanding of the importance of education. Although they both have other civic interests, education is a real priority to them, and it was our privilege to get to honor them that night. Our welcome, did I go forward? I skipped one. We started the year off right by welcoming back our teachers and faculty to their campuses after school. So the first week they're back on the job, LEF is present and welcomes them back with these wonderful gift baskets that go to the office and to the lounge, and really just expressing our appreciation as a foundation to reiterate our partnership with the district. Next, this is a great thing we started a few years ago in partnership with the district, and that is welcoming our teachers, or brand new teachers, welcome them to their profession. And that's at a breakfast held at the beginning of the school year, and we welcome them with a $20 gift card so they could just treat themselves to something for their classroom if they so desire. And so that's just a nicety to welcome those teachers not only to the LISD but actually to the profession of teaching. Next is our Better Together campaign. And we just awarded $57,000 in campuses, and that was from last year's employee giving. And so we have a great employee giving campaign. And I tell you what, the employees here at the district are very supportive of our mission here at LEF. And so if it's undesignated giving, 50% of that goes back to the campus of origin. And so we plow that right back into the campus of origin. And so we're very pleased about that. And so we're about to wrap that up. September 14th is the last day to do that, to make those pledges for that payroll deduction. And anyway, it's just awesome that the employees realize our vision as well and are helping with that. Teacher grants, we just did those a couple weeks ago. 56 grants totaling $90,000 all across the district and all of the different types of campuses. And it was just so awesome to go out that big Ed McMahon check, and our volunteers, our LF board members, and other just supportive parents to get to go out and to walk into those classrooms and do that total surprise to those teachers. And I'll tell you what's really special about it is that it's done in front of the students. And I think it's so important that we teach philanthropy at a very young age to these kids. You know, this is not tax dollars. This is actually private donations. We try to make a point to tell them, this is, you know, where's this money come from? You know, this is not property taxes. This is people knowing and wanting to invest in you voluntarily, giving to support you. And so I think it's great that LEF can be that partnership between the private sector and the public sector, plowing together right inside that classroom. And we're going to do a few more grants, campus grants, in the next couple of weeks. And so we're going to look at probably do several of those, and those go back into the campus. Those are $5,000 grants returning. So we still have a few more to award here in the next few weeks. Next, I'd like to give you a great update and see if y'all can mark your calendars for Monday, October 16th at the Denton Country Club. This is something we've never done before, and it's a partnership with the Denton Public Schools Foundation, our counterpart up at our county seat up in Denton, and here at LEF. We're going to do and I said to somebody the other night, I said, it's going to be, I can't wait for the golf tournament. They said, no, it's going to be a golf event. And I said, okay, we're kicking it up a notch. So it's going to be a very fun day at the Denton Country Club. And so we'd love to have y'all's participation at that event. The Denton Public Schools, they're going to be honoring Jim Collins from the Denton Public Schools and the Denton ISD. And we here at LEF, we're going to be supporting the memory of Steve Allen, who was a school board member here from 86 to 98. I can't believe it's been that long ago that Steve was on the school board. But we're going to be raising money in his great memory and honor. So anyway, mark your calendar. We'd love to have you there. And lastly, I think this picture kind of really says it all. This was just a great partner. This is from our mixer we had at the end of the summer, which we do every year. And this is the school board, your key staff, and also the leadership and board of the Education Foundation. And the Crees were gracious enough to open their lovely home again this year. And it was it's a wonderful time for us to break bread and have some fellowship as we begin the school year. And it really is a true partnership between the district and our board. So anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Anyone have any questions?
Can you just clarify on the making a donation?
Yes.
In memory of Doug Killow. So I know he has an existing grant or a scholarship. So when you make the donation, do you just simply need to make the note? Is there going to be a secondary one created, or are you just making it to the existing one?
We haven't heard from the family yet. We just know that they want it, as of right now, to go to his honorary scholarship that's already existing. Okay. So we will be meeting with them in a couple weeks or so just to clarify everything. But right now, everything's going into the existing scholarship.
And so when you make that donation online, do you just have to put that in the notes section? Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Can I just add to that? I was thinking about the $9,600, which is awesome, because he had one before, like Ms. Sheffield talked about, right, that people could give to. If we got that $9,600 to $10,000, it changes the dynamic, right? Or would that, or you still need to work with a family on that?
So the 96 that was raised on Saturday night is designated towards grants. So all that full $96,000 will be awarded at the beginning of next year in the form of grants in his name. It will not go into an endowment.
Okay, all right. Good.
Any other questions? Thank you. We really appreciate what the Education Foundation does for our district. Thank you so much. Okay, demographic report. Dr. Rogers.
Okay, I'm back, but I'm going to quickly punt this to our demographer, Rocky Gardner. We've used Templeton demographics since, well, it's been about 4 years exactly. I think that September of 2013 that we began, and we get quarterly updates, which is different than ever before, and so this is the second quarter report. So thanks for being here, Rocky.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Madam President, Board, it's a pleasure to be here again. This is our second quarter report, so keep in mind this was data collected through June of 2017. Technically, it's the last report of the 2016-17 school year, so just kind of, we went over this with the team here in Lewisville in early August. So, this will work here. So, economic conditions in Dallas-Fort Worth continue to be very strong. We've added, almost 90,000 jobs in the last year in Dallas-Fort Worth. All you have to do is drive on any highway, and you'll see a crane or construction, or be stuck in traffic and look around and see it. Unemployment rate's well below 5%. We're seeing Lewisville at 3.7. So strong employment right now, and the housing starts are at 31,254 during that trailing 12 months. So up considerably over 2Q16, excuse me. If we look at Lewisville ISD, one thing that we've changed, and we just started doing this in the last year, I think we may have showed a slide similar to this last quarter, but these are deed transactions. So what our team can now do is our team can go in and we can look at every new home sale or existing home sale and analyze the price point and see what's going on. And what you're going to find really interesting, or I hope you do, is the median sale price over the last 12 months of a new home in Lewisville ISD is $450,000. The median sale price of an existing home is $296,000. That's a $150,000 difference between your new homes and your existing homes. And it's kind of pointing out, the challenges now of you hear about people that are looking to buy homes and can't buy homes because they can't afford what's being built. And that's kind of what's going on now. We're seeing a little bit of that in Lewisville ISD. And it's also, we're having to go back and kind of recalibrate our yields because it's really changed student yields as well. We're seeing, for instance, stronger yields now in some of the existing homes than we are in the new homes. And that's kind of a flip than what we've seen historically. In Lewisville ISD, we closed 1,348 homes in the trailing 12 months. There's been 5 other districts that have closed more than Lewisville, but you can see there's strong growth. Little Elm was the closest with just over 1,000. 1,624 VDL. Remember, those are vacant developed lots. So those are lots that are ready to be built on right now. So that's where your next round of growth is going to come from. And we're going to follow that with almost 5,500 future lots. So these are lots that are platted. There's, in many cases, there's not activity. Sometimes groundwork has become, but future lots are generally beyond a 2-year time frame. Quarterly, we've started almost 300 homes the last 2 quarters, and we've closed over 300 the last 2 quarters. So right now, we're trending just a little bit behind last year. We're at 643 closings for the first 2 quarters. I can tell you that inventory number, that 6-month supply, means that we've got a supply very similar to what's already happened. So we're probably going to finish the year just over 1,200, maybe to 1,300 homes, so maybe a little bit slower than last year in new home. And part of that is not just it's not that they're slowing down. There's a demand, but there's a labor shortage in many cases. So it's taking what used to take 3 months is now taking 4 months. Plus, at the price point, and many that $450,000 above home takes a little bit longer to build as well than some of the lower price points. Where some of the development is occurring, this first slide are annual closings. So this is where the homes that were built in the last 12 months were built. The darker the color, the red colors indicate the most closings. If you see a real light tan, that means there weren't any closings at all. So you can see the trend there. Castle Hills Northeast closed more homes than anywhere else in the Morningside zone with 156. Verona addition closed about 131. So you're seeing just those 2 that closed over 100. Now again, these 10 are just the top 10. We're tracking 30 or 40 different developments within Lewisville ISD. BDL, so this is your next round of growth. Again, you still see the strong growth, on the east side of 35, but we're seeing some growth, in the Flower Mounds there with Highland Court that's got some strong VDL as well, like almost 100 lots. Future development, again, most of the future development is right where we've been showing it for the last couple of years, really. On the east side over there, but we see the realm with 450 future lots, the villas there of Southgate with 400 lots, and Lakewood Hills with 400 lots. We're seeing a combination of real high price points, but we're also seeing some more density, some villas, some garden-style homes, and those are also beginning to see some lower yields. You're not seeing as many students out of that price point as well. I've got a few slides here that just kind of, this summarizes by elementary attendance zones, just kind of helps you put it all together there. You can see with, your most vacant developed lots right now are in the Flower Mound zone with 322, but they've just closed 26 in the last year, so not quite as quickly moving. And then you see Independence and Indian Creek with some strong closings. Morningside, and of course Tom Hicks is closed. They closed over 200 homes total with all developments. This is a district housing overview. So these are all the different developments that we're tracking. The green colors, they represent active developments where there's some active development going on right now, homes being built today. Yellow are future, so that's where there's no homes yet. There might be some groundwork going on, but that's where your future development is. Again, 5,500 futures, and of those 5,500, 1,680 have groundwork, and so that could just mean a tractor sitting there, or it could mean that they're actually digging some roads or putting some utilities in. Where some of I've just got a few slides with the town lake at Flower Mound with 161 lots. Model homes under construction, they're pre-selling. They like to see, the groundwork in phase 2 to start, when phase 1's completed. But that's 700,000 plus in the Liberty Zone. It's a really high price point. So we don't know how that will yield. We're going to see, it won't go real fast either, again, because of that price point. Oak Bridge at Flower Mound, 95 total lots. They've got some groundwork underway. This is in Bluebonnet, in the Bluebonnet attendance zone. They think that they'll have homes by early 2018. Of course, now this is all along Plano Parkway here, Hamilton Park, Villages of Mustang. These are all future lots. You can see there that we've got over 500 future lots just in that little corridor there. Now some of this is again a pretty dense product, and so it's not going to yield real high, but then you're going to see some real changes in that area. Villas of Southgate, this is 437 future lots. Now keep in mind too, there's another development right here. It's called the Graham Tract, I think. It's like 53 lots. So you're getting about 450 homes, single-family homes in that area. Developer anticipates I want to kind of make a comment on that. We call the developers and the builders, and we ask them to kind of give us an idea what they'd like to see. The developer has said he'd like to do 200 homes per year. That's really pretty aggressive. I don't know that you'll get a build out in 2 years there, but they are starting to move ground. They are starting to have groundwork there. Very, very, very aggressive. And Castle Hills, this is a very busy slide. You might have to study it for a little while, but most of the red is already built out. This is already built out product, but they've got 225 annual home starts. They've still got about 142 lots left there in Castle Hills, and then you got the Realm with 72 total future lots, and then you've got this part of the Realm here. This is 450 single family and 4,000 multifamily. So lots by spring of 2019. 4,000 multifamily is going to take a long time to build, but it's coming. That tollway corridor is really going crazy out there. This is just the housing overview by attendance zone in Castle Hills. We kind of summarized it so you can see a breakdown of where a lot of that activity is. And these are our enrollment projections. I want to comment before we go into the enrollment projections, if I can say the word. These projections are exactly the same as you would have seen in first quarter, because again, this is our end of 2016-17. We were projecting 53,117 students for the 2017-18 school year. I say we were projecting because now we're in the 2017-18 school year. That was a slight decline of 140 students. We've seen declining new home yields, and so we're now beginning to study this year's enrollment. So we understand where enrollment's beginning to come in, keeping in mind that our projections are October to October. So we're just now beginning to analyze what's going on in Lewisville ISD now. We've got some campus projections on each of these pages. I'm not going to go into any real detail on these because, again, these are the same numbers that you saw in the first quarter. Your high school, this is middle school, and then we have high school enrollment as well. Again, 53,117, and we're looking at 54,400 students within 10 years based on this projection. In summary, unemployment rates are below 4%. The ISDs, the price point between your new homes and your existing homes, that's the biggest spread we have of any districts that we work with in Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's a very large spread there. So we're definitely looking at yields again and trying to understand what's going on there. We're on pace to close again right at 1,200 homes. And then, of course, we're seeing enrollment just under 53,000, we think, in about 5 years, and probably pushing 54,000 within 10 years, based on these 2016. That was pretty quick, but I'm happy to answer questions, comments.
Anyone have any questions for Rocky? Mr. Miller?
Just would like, I was just curious about, and I know you didn't have the breakdown grade level by campus here, but in particular, like the dynamic of Bridlewood, where we've seen the elementary campus be under capacity, and then the middle school there that Flowermont Elementary and Bridlewood Elementary and one other feeds into. But this year we added a fourth kindergarten class, I believe. Is that Dr. Coburn? We just added a fourth kindergarten class, I think.
This year being 17-18?
Yeah.
Like just now. Okay.
So that wouldn't be data you had, but I'm just curious if as we look at this, looking at it as what might have happened, because I'm always curious when we have these discussions in the next quarter, what materialized that we thought would happen, 1 or 2 quarters out, or whatever that period of measurement period is. But something in Bridlewood seems to, and here's what I suspect, with the shift with Canyon Falls, and if I get that right, whatever's going on in the West, there are people who have gotten to where there are no kids at home, and some I know that are buying homes out there because school district doesn't matter. I think you get 3 or 4 options depending on where you live out there. Huh? Yeah. So they're moving out there. They stay in Flowermont. And I'd just be curious if there's some trending that starts to take place as we look at enrollment, in particular of the elementary school, which could be a leading indicator that we're getting younger families coming back into that neighborhood, and then we would see that, of course, the future impact of Downing Middle School.
Traditionally, we have seen the Flower Mound schools regenerate a little bit slower, just because that price point has tended to hold families until the children are well out of school, and then they sometimes stay there. So we may be beginning to see some regeneration, and that's one thing we can do now with our deed transactions. We can look at those addresses that sold, or resold, if you will, and we can tell if there was a child there before and if there's a child there now. And then we can see if those yields have begun to change. And we certainly, that's one thing that we'll do going into the third quarter, because as we develop your enrollment projections for 2018-19 and beyond, we certainly are beginning now to recalibrate some of these yields and look at them again, because we've seen some birth rates that have declined. We've seen some changes in yields that appear to be happening. I mean, the lower price points seem to be increasing in yields. The higher price points have been decreasing. So we're going back in and taking a look at that again as well. So we will certainly look at that.
Rocky, and I think, Mr. Miller, part of the question as far as kindergartners, that's one of the hardest things for y'all to predict. Is that?
It certainly is.
But I will tell you, even if Bridlewood's up, I think, and we had a meeting earlier this afternoon, overall in kindergarten, I think we're down by about 120.
We're down significantly in kindergarten this year in Lewisville ISD. And what's really interesting is we also, I don't know if maybe it's interesting to me, I guess. I'm a bit of a data nerd. But we look at births by zip code. So we collect all the birth data that we can get by zip code for Lewisville ISD, and then we correlate that to a kindergarten 5 years later. Now, there's no true science that someone's not going to move in that 5 years, but it does create some correlation. And Lewisville ISD has been very steady at almost a 1-to-1 ratio. They've almost had a it's worked out for the last 3 or 4 years consecutive. Last year, we decided to be a little bit more conservative, and we dropped our kindergarten forecast to about 99%, or 0.99. Right now, it's at like 0.95. It has an uncharacteristically low drop at that rate, so we're definitely going to be studying that to see if we can figure out what may have caused that, whether it's yields. And so we're definitely going to be looking at a lot of different things going into the third quarter.
And Ms. President.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that kindergarten is down for the entire state of Texas.
Yes, it has. And, yeah, it's dropped by almost 20,000 students in the last 2 years. That's a good point.
Are you going? Go ahead.
Just wondering, because I know you track charters and other school options, and so when it's down by 20%, is that against the 5.4 million that use ISDs, or does that number apply to a holistic look at education choices?
Are you talking about statewide?
Yeah.
Yeah, statewide it's public school kindergarten is down.
Okay.
Okay. Now, some charter schools they're included if they're TEA, they'd be included in that number in theory. But so overall, we have less kindergarten students. There's a birth decline. There's a birth rate decline, period. Now, where some of those other ones are going is another question. We definitely have a birth rate decline. It's actually nationally.
Yeah, 20,000, yeah. I'm sorry. 20.
As it.
I have two questions, two requests for information. On slide 10, one of the very multicolored slides that you have a district overview of housing, and the active lots or the active and future subdevelopments. In slide 16, you broke it down for the one Castle Hills. Could you provide that level of detail for the whole map of LISD to give us?
Yeah, we actually have a report. It's a housing report that's got every development and what's going on in the development. Forrest, would you show it? Can I see it? I've got a PDF version of this that I can actually send to Dr. Rogers.
That would be awesome. I'm also a data nerd, so I would love that.
Yeah, this will put you to sleep.
Just send it to me, and I'll forward to the board.
No, it won't put you to sleep.
I'll get it to you.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, I'm requesting if you could possibly in the next overview, when you start analyzing the shift in the data, could you give us a report or guesstimates as to why you think that you don't have to have this is why, but the reasons why you believe, like the townhomes don't create a larger yield, the housing prices. Could you summarize that as a sheet for us, just so we can have it on a sheet, so we can remember better?
Yeah, we can actually show you what the yields are in each subdivision, in each development. We can actually make those reports, and we'll also be looking at the multifamily as well.
Right.
And so we'll be able to look at those trends.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Rocky, I just have one question. It looks great, all the numbers of the growth and development we have in the LISD. However, do you have a breakdown of how many of those housing and new developments are age restricted?
We do, and we'll designate if they are. So in the reports, we do. So right now, I don't remember there being one that we're tracking that is age restricted right now in Lewisville.
That's great.
So we can.
Good news for us.
We definitely try to catch that.
Rocky.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, next we have a legislative update, which I have the privilege of serving on the committee with Ms. Timish and Ms. Prosnick, and I got the short straw to do the presentation this time. So just to keep in line, it was a special session, and to keep in line with our goals, to keep reiterating our priorities are, of course, vouchers. We oppose the vouchers. Funding, support the development of adequate and equitable funding system, the high-stakes testing and the A to F ratings, and learning standards, support high priority learning standards and development by the State Board of Education in partnership with the Texas High Performing Schools Consortium. So just to give you a quick update to write down, I'm just going to read it if you don't mind. So the payments, the House Bill 21, they passed the School Finance and the Finance Committee and the TRS Active Care. So payments for the TRS Active Care will come from a delay in the payment from the Health and Human Services funds. The House voted 94 to 46 to accept the Senate's changes to House Bill 21, which would put some immediate funding into public schools. The Senate voted out to strip $1.5 billion of the new funding and all reforms to the outdated formulas for allocating that money. It also tasked a commission with studying future reform to the school finance system. The TRS Board of Trustees board meeting is booked, includes a timeline of events for the rollout of the new TRS care plan that will go in effect on January 1st of 2018. This communication timeline will help plan participants understand how the process will unfold over the next few months. The House and the Senate came to an agreement on the funding for the TRS care and have passed House Bill 21, will provide $212 million towards the TRS care and the state-run retiree health insurance program. The funding will help retirees who are both pre-65 and over 65. House Bill 30, which coincides with House Bill 21, identifies how the measures in House Bill 21 will be funded, primarily through the deferral of payments to managed care organization and the school finance bill. It gave money for smaller districts, including charter, and the Texas House passed a package of bills that would put $1.5 billion into public schools in helping out struggling small rural districts. The funds cited in the legislation would come from deferring a payment to public schools from the fiscal year 2019 to 2020. That would allow an increase in the base funding per student from $5,140 to $5,350 statewide. The TASB consultant Ellen Williams pointed out that charter schools will see a $1.4 billion of additional state aid from regular session legislation and $60 million after the special legislative session. That's including $120 million in ongoing biennial entitlements for facilities. Conversely, independent school districts will see a $2.97 billion drop in state aid based on regular session legislation, with some districts possibly getting mostly a one-time funding of $60 million in the EDA funding and $41 million for small school district penalty adjustments. That's my report. If anyone would like to add anything, or be great.
Well, I'll just add that what you read makes me sick because it really emphasizes the point that our legislators will talk about money they put into public schools, but the great majority of that is going to charter schools that serves a very small population in our state, and so they're ultimately the big winners from the last session.
So no good news.
No good news.
That's my report. Moving on.
Thanks.
The monthly financial report by Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Madam President. The report that you have is for the 11 months ended July 31st, 2017. And these financial statements, we do believe, reflect the activities of the district for that period. We are on track, I think, as we have said before, to end the year on a positive note in terms of some addition to fund balance. And we believe each of those funds that are presented there are in great financial shape, and we'd certainly be willing to answer any questions the board might have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Ball? No? Thank you. Okay, FDB local, admissions, intra-district transfers, and classroom assignments. Dr. Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Once again, the short straw here, but this is a policy that we need to do some cleanup on. For instance, on page 1 of FDB Local, we no longer have Executive Director of Student Services, so we needed to change the verbiage on that. TASB Policy Services provides some other cleanup on children of employees that are non-resident and made some corrections there. But probably the biggest change is the eligibility of transfer students for extracurricular activities. And we previously, when this policy was first written regarding the eligibility, LISD has a policy that is harsher than UIL. In other words, if we have a student that moves from one existing high school zone to another one, they lose 1 year of varsity eligibility. And that's certainly harsher than UIL. This was created, I think, in 2000, 2001. There were some issues back in the district regarding reported recruiting of athletes from multiple high schools. I wish it was just one or two, and so that's why the policy was written. And then about 6 years ago, the policy was changed to where there was a committee to hear if someone said, hey, I'm moving, but I don't feel like I should have to lose a year of varsity eligibility. And so there was a committee of those schools that were not involved, the receiving and sending school. But we have had some discussions, as I wrote about in the board questions, doing away with the policy. We do believe the policy still serves a purpose. It's really hard to measure, hey, who doesn't move because this policy's in place. But we were not seeing what we had hoped as far as the practice of understanding there are sometimes extenuating circumstances. And to be honest with you, the number of cases that comes in front of this committee are, I think I've received input that there were 5 in the last 3 years, so about 2 a year. So we really felt that it probably need to delete the committee and add the superintendent or designee. I know one of the questions in the board questions was who's going to be the designee, and right now I'm it. I think I have a good understanding of the intent of the policy. I was there when it was originally crafted, and understand when some things are not black and white and there can be some gray, and yet enforce it if it needs to be. But it makes no sense to take a year of eligibility from a senior athlete whose parent moves and both coaches sending and receiving have no objection to the kid being eligible, and yet we were still ruling them as ineligible. And that, right. So I'll certainly entertain any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Anyone have any questions? Ms. Timish?
Just to thank you for that update. I think for me, I'm fine with this policy. Just knowing that the sending and receiving coaches are both on board, I think that's just really important that we always have that integrity and transparency in all of our athletic programs.
Yeah, that's a great question, Ms. Timish, and certainly if they're not on board or one of the sending coach, the coach of the previous school says that they believe they move for athletic purposes, then that actually generates a UIL issue with the DEC committee, which looks at it even different. So certainly, we don't want kids being recruited. We don't want kids moving for athletic purposes. But when both coaches are in agreement and they want the kid to participate, and we're saying, hey, you've got to sit out for a year, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mr. Miller?
Ms. Cox, I'm just going to raise a point of order only that, so I don't want discussion, just want to tee up for a future agenda item for consideration, and I won't solicit a second tonight because I just would like you and Dr. Rogers to look into this. I think you already are, but looking at eligibility, non-UIL activities and trying to line them up with UIL age and other requirements. I think there's some activity on that, right, Dr. Rogers? So we would be consistent with that going forward. So we can't discuss it, but just would like to tee up either for a future agenda item or for a replay back to us on where we might take that type of thing.
I'm probably going to need some clarification at another time, but certainly I'll ask for some input.
Yeah, and so under the ordinance, I'm just suggesting a future agenda item, not requesting under the board operating procedures a second. I'm only suggesting a future agenda item. Fair enough?
Any other questions? Okay. All right, moving on to consider action items. Consider approval of classroom technology components for non-renovation projectors, classroom audio video kits, cooperative contracts. Mr. Colbeck.
Thank you, Madam President. This is basically a recommendation to purchase 185 audiovisual kits. This would be part of the classroom technology project that was on the 2017 bond project list. There were 553 classrooms that had projectors put in during the 16-17 school year. And many of those classrooms have limited or no audio at all. So essentially what the kits would provide is classroom audio that I would say bridges that gap between our campuses that would be getting newer refreshes on our 20-year refresh and some of our newer buildings. So during this bond cycle, we'd be able to really refresh and upgrade the audio in our classrooms at those campuses. Also, there's a disconnect in that number. We've put projectors in a lot more rooms than what we're asking for on these particular kits, and we're doing that very intentional because when we buy technology, one of the things that we want to do, there's a couple pieces. One, we want to have the work scheduled where we can really leverage our staff to get these things put in, but we also don't want to overbuy to the point that we're having new technology sitting in the warehouse and warranties are expiring. So this is basically a smaller volume that we feel will get us started. We can get people working on it right away. In the process of procuring this, we did send out 233 cooperative requests for quote to 233 vendors, of which we've had nine responses. The total anticipated expenditure for this project is $260,308. And our recommendation is that the board awards the contract for the purchase of classroom AV kits and the anticipated expenditures to the two vendors listed below. And if you have any questions, I certainly welcome them.
Mr. Colbeck, this was presented to the Technology Committee, right?
Thank you. Yes, it was at the August 29th meeting.
Would either of you like to comment on the Technology Committee?
I will. Quick. Exactly what Mr. Colbeck said. It's pointed out so that they can do the work in a amount of time. It really also helps a wide range of students who might need the audio capabilities in those classrooms now or in the future. And it really does do another way of making sure that the bond money is used for all of the children. So this is a way to touch more campuses, more classrooms, to make sure that everybody gets to enjoy the bond money that we're spending all over the campus, all over the district.
Any questions, Ms. Prosnick?
So it's 187 right now.
185.
85, excuse me. Can't read my own writing. 185 right now. When will you be projecting finishing? I mean, what's the timeline look like?
Yeah, what we're going to end up doing, our interest is trying to get as much of this done with our own staff as we can because we feel like we can extend the bond dollars further. So one of the challenges with that is your day-to-day work. So what we're trying to do is manage, and of course with the start of school year, our ticket volume is high. So as we try to get that addressed, we're looking at actually kind of separating our staff into a 2 to 11 type shift where we can get into schools and do this stuff later. So as we get that work done, I don't think we're going to be bringing something back for October on this one, but by November, December, I'm hoping that we're in position to actually kind of restock the inventory that we have and bring another batch through. And at some point, really one of the challenges with the audiovisual is when that stuff was put in, it was all put in really close to around the same time. So during the last parts of last school year, we were experiencing about 33 to 35 rooms per month that the projectors were failing. So what we're trying to do is really manage our inventory and really break down the work in about 1/5. So we're really annualizing the work into 1/5 if this is a 5-year bond. So what we're trying to do is do as much as that we can with our own staff, but we might get to a point where we actually need to sub out and contract some of the installation just because we can't keep up with that pace. So we're going to try it, start it out that way with our own people, try to get as far as we can. At some point, we might actually have to have this, subcontracted out too.
You also had said that while you're doing refreshes, this will be some of the campuses in the classrooms will have refreshes touched at the same time. So that's another section of
Correct.
Of the remaining classrooms.
Any other questions? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I move to approve awarding the contracts for purchase of classroom audio-video kits and the anticipated expenditures to Data Optics Cables, Inc., LISD RFP number 2512-17, and QCTV, parentheses, EPCNT McKinney, RFP number 2014-507, as recommended by administration.
Motion by Mr. Miller. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Hassett. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 0. Next item, consider approval of DIR TSO 3926 data center upgrades, application delivery controllers. Mr. Colbeck.
All right, thank you. Again, this is a project that would be on the 2017 bond list under our data center upgrades. This topic was discussed with the Board Technology Committee again on August 29th. Essentially what this is it's a piece of hardware and also software that really will allow us to improve our current security posture. As we presented our data center needs to our facility advisory group, one of the questions that came up is what's our current status? And I shared that it's good, but the technologies over the past several years have really changed, and we're going to need to put in some newer technologies to increase our security posture, and we see this particular appliance being able to do that. It's going to certainly improve our ability to have visibility into network traffic. It's going to allow us to actually decrypt encrypted traffic right now. So to simplify that, when the bad guys come in, they come in through encrypted connections, and we need to actually decrypt that so we can have that visibility and set up blocks and filters. This appliance will allow us to do that. It's also what I would call time sensitive. We want to improve our security posture the sooner we can, and this particular appliance actually also allows us to consolidate the number of open ports that we have facing our public IPs. It'll also consolidate the number of security certificates that we have. So that's part of why we're bringing this forward very early in the bond. We see this as an important piece to improve our security posture. This will also allow us to consolidate a couple services. Right now we use some other appliances and software for our domain name service solution, and also we have a separate technology we use for our VPN, which is very limited. This is going to allow us to increase from, I think, 25 licenses up to 500. So we're going to be able to actually make that available to more people to use that service. Ultimately, this was a request for quote. We sent this out to 202 cooperative vendors, and we had 4 quotes back for approved F5 resellers. Again, the funds for this will be paid for out of the 2017 bond project, and with that, our recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approves the F5 network application delivery controller and services from NetSync Network Solutions. Any questions?
Okay, again, this is a technology committee. Would either of you like to comment?
I definitely really appreciate this being brought forward, especially with the recent cluster that has been happening with data security. And so the way he described it was, right now when you're pinging LISD, there's multiple ways you can get in, and this is going to consolidate. So instead of 7 doorways, we're going to have 1 doorway for all the traffic to come through, so it can all the other people certified that 1 doorway. So it makes it much more secure for our servers, for our students, for our users. And is it going to speed it up? I think you.
Yes, it should optimize how we're connecting to applications. Yeah.
Instead of 7, so it's first of all helping us with our security, and then a little bit with the speed. So.
Any other questions? All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
Just because I have it in front of me, I move to approve F5 Networks application delivery controller and services to NetSync Network Solutions, contract DIR-TSO-3926, and the anticipated expenditures as recommended by administration.
Motion by Mr. Miller. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Hassett. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Colbeck, you're popular tonight.
All right.
Consider approval of the TCPN number R160201 data center upgrades, local balancers.
Thank you. Again, this project would fall under the data center upgrades in the 2017 bond project list. As you mentioned, this is for load balancers. The district currently does have load balancers in place. Just a little bit about that technology. Essentially, you have network traffic that comes in, and it has to get spread out across 8 different servers. This technology allows it to come in and recapture it and send it back out and be filtered. That particular hardware that we have in place right now is going to be end of life coming up this spring. So that makes this topic time sensitive in that we need to get it obviously ordered, procured. We have to take delivery of it, and this is something that it's got to be tested before we put it into a production environment. So this is a time-sensitive item. Again, that's why we're bringing it early on in the bond. Also, this particular technology works with our current filtering solution. We do see that this is going to be able to integrate better with our current filtering solution. It's actually developed and manufactured by the same manufacturer. The services for this, too, will allow us to consolidate some of our current annual operational costs by about $5,000. And with the procurement of the hardware, it would actually roll up the service on the software over a 3-year period. So the process of procurement, we had an RFQ that was sent out to 4 cooperative vendors, and we had 3 quotes received. Again, the project would be paid for out of the 2017 bond. The amount is $27,072. So with that, our recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve Content Keeper load balancers and the anticipated expenditures through CDWG.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Colbeck. Again, this was in the Technology Committee, so any comments?
I'll take this one.
Miller? Okay, go ahead.
It's important to note here that, first of all, this was it's the smaller piece of our spend tonight, as you can see, but it was, I think, very well thought out and highly scrutinized. Because it has a word in there, which is Content Keeper. What's important to note that this is the hardware, or in the IT world, we might call it appliance, right, Brian? Yep. And so it is simply us procuring the hardware that goes with Content Keeper. So it's no different than a Microsoft Office and you buy a PC to run with it, right, or that type of thing. So we're not changing direction, adding something, reinforcing Content Keeper. This is where we're at today. There will always be an evolution and looking at things like web filters and mobile device management, but the economics and the practicality around procuring this together makes sense, meaning buying it from the vendor that the software provider is providing access to it. So,
Ms. Hassett?
I just wanted to add one comment that I greatly appreciate Mr. Kobeck and his staff. They've done a really great job of making sure that they're anticipating future needs, making sure that we're not talking about it last second so that we might have computer technology issues. So they've done a really, really great job of explaining and bringing things forward on a very timely manner. So really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Sells?
Is this just something, again, that your staff is going to do during that time frame of October to November?
Yeah,
because I'm just amazed at what all y'all can do.
This is a different team. This would be our data center team. And we would be working closely with the manufacturer to get it in, get it tested, and basically bench test it before we put it into production. But that would be our team working on that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the Content Keeper load balancers through contract TCPN number R160201 to CDW-G and the anticipated expenditures as presented by administration.
Motion by Ms. Hassett. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Sheffield. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Consider approval of budget and security camera project from the 2017 bond program. Dr. Coburn.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. This item is about the budget only for the camera projects, safety and security. This is a multifaceted program. We were dealing with Facilities Committee, Technology Committee. Safety and security touches basically every part of our district, and we appreciate the commitment that the community made with the bond funds, which would be the source here. If approved tonight, the $3.3 million that we've proposed, really the two key words would be expansion and enhancement of our security and what we offer. You see it at work if you ever have an opportunity to see kind of our eye in the sky, even though they're down on the bottom floor of the Bolin building. When we have something happen, that ability to have eyes on everything in our district has been so important, and as we continue to grow, we want to make that better. We want to keep up. We want to be able to maintain that level of technology. What you would get following this would be the more project-specific pieces as it would roll out throughout the 2018 calendar year, and we anticipate this would be finished by the close of 2018.
Thank you, Dr. Coburn. Does anyone have any questions? We have a motion to approve. Sells.
I move to approve the 2017 bond security camera project and budget for 2017-18 as presented by administration.
Motion by Ms. Sells, second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Consider approval of construction delivery method for 2017 bond program construction projects. Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. This item is somewhat of a compliance item. Not really sure we even are required to do it, but we chose to bring it to the board in an abundance of caution. A few years ago, the board kind of set the construction manager at risk construction delivery method as the default, if you will, for bond projects. And if you recall, in the spring of this year, because of some extenuating circumstances, we recommended to the board the utilization of the job order contract method for some very specific projects. And now we just simply want to memorialize, if you will, the fact that we do recommend this construction manager at risk method as the default method for the 2017 projects. And in approving this recommendation tonight, it does not preclude the utilization of other delivery methods if we, at some later date, determine that those would be bring better value to the district, just as we did this spring when we recommended the job order contract method. So we have the full slate of construction delivery methods that are available in the law that if we encounter circumstances where we believe those would provide better value to the district, we could utilize those. We did present this item to the Facilities Committee on August 22nd at their meeting, and it's our recommendation. One of the things that we would take the opportunity to point out is that things are going to begin to happen fairly rapidly, actually tomorrow morning, hopefully. If upon approval of this item by the board, we will begin the process of requesting qualifications for construction managers at risk, because as has been mentioned a couple of times tonight, we are on some pretty tight timelines in terms of all of these projects that are related to the 2017 bond program. Many of these projects are going to begin to overlap, as you have observed in the technology things that have been approved. Those are overlapping. We're going to see that begin to happen in the construction arena as well. And so for that reason, I think what we're going to see is items coming to the board as action items and needing approval without maybe the 3-month process, we hope to be able to use the committee process and be able to bring these things to the board in that manner in an effort to keep the projects that are going to rapidly begin to overlap on schedule so that we can open the elementary school 2 years hence as we've committed to the public to do. And so very soon we'll have the elementary school project underway. We'll have the Career Center underway. We'll have 4 different 20-year refreshes going on next summer. And so there's a lot that's about to be happening. And so we would ask the board's indulgence as we work through some of these things that we be able to bring those things to the board through the committee process to take action as quickly as we can to keep these things on schedule. So it's our recommendation that this item be approved, and I'd certainly be happy to entertain any questions the board might have.
And Mr. Ball, I think, though, you were going to say that if they do approve it, then tomorrow there will be an RFQ put out for some construction managers at risk. That then those specific folks, would come back to the board for their approval.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing that I omitted, Dr. Rogers, is we're working on a schedule to show the board how these projects will overlap and the limited timelines that we have in order to keep them on track. And I think we've already got a facilities committee scheduled, a meeting scheduled to review those schedules.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. This was in the Facilities Committee, so would someone like to comment from Facilities?
I don't know that there's. This is something that's been brought before the board multiple times. I don't know if there's anything new that's not known already to the board. So I don't know if there's anything else that I would have to add from a committee standpoint. I don't know if anybody else.
I would. I think we agree with the approach. We know that there are questions about protecting options. I think, given some things that happen with summer projects, right, that don't delay things for us, meaning we have to sever a certain procurement method and then look at something else. But I think where we're at, if we keep the timeline going, which I think is what Mr. Ball is referencing here, how we bring these forward, if they're going to be in 3 stages or whatever, I'm sure that Ms. Cox and Dr. Rogers and others will look through that. But the intent is to keep things moving right now. This is the procurement method the district has been comfortable with in the past. Therefore, we basically supported it.
Thank you. Ms. Hassett?
I have a question. For the construction manager at risk, is there any discussion on subs with Harvey coming on and the possibility of subs going to South Texas for, is there anything in the RFQ or any discussions on, do they have secured subs that are going to guarantee to stay here? Is that part of the RFQ at all, or do you talk with the people who've bid? Or
That's a great question, and we do see some news media reports about labor rates increasing in the Houston area particularly for unskilled labor at this point, for cleanup efforts and so forth. And we're told that there has been some migration of unskilled labor chasing those increased rates. We've not seen any evidence that the skilled subcontractors that we would use in the type of commercial construction that's going on in the Metroplex, that there's been any migration there. I think the concern would be that is a possibility, and I think what we are seeing is some evidence that there, at least in the short term, could be some material shortages in drywall materials and plywood and those kinds of things that you see used in preparation and aftermath of hurricanes. In terms of the RFQ that we will circularize this week, the intent of that is to have a 2-stage process where we would first evaluate the respondents based on their qualifications. And their qualifications would entail the sub pool that they're able to draw from, their experience in school construction, their track record with other districts, and those kinds of things. And certainly the better construction manager at risk firms have subs with whom they regularly work. And those subs typically know how the contractor works, and they typically, the better ones have good payment records, and there is some ability to develop some loyalty from those subs. So I think those will be things that we'll be looking at as we make the recommendation to the board. At this point, our target is November. Pardon me, and our hope is to bring a slate of multiple construction managers at risk that we would recommend as being qualified to work for the district over this 2017 bond program. And then we would come back, the current plan is to come back in December with having, from that slate of construction managers that have been qualified by the board in November, we would come back with recommendations on actually awarding specific projects to those respective construction managers.
Any other questions for Mr. Ball? Or do we have a motion?
I move to approve the use of the construction manager at risk construction delivery method for the 2017 bond program construction projects as presented by administration.
A motion by Ms. Timmis. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Sheffield. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Consider approval of TASB Update 108 Local. Mr. Crownover.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I'm excited to announce that policy coordination is now under legal services moving forward. So looking forward to working with each of you on that. This item is a standard TASB policy update. It is based on some changes in law, but most of it is reorganization, clarification type changes. The board has seen this a couple of different times. The board committee has reviewed it. Leadership team has reviewed it. So the administration recommendation is that the board approve Update 108 policy changes as described.
Thank you, Mr. Crownover. Do we have any questions for Mr. Crownover? No? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the TASB Update 108 local policy as changes as presented by administration.
We have a motion by Ms. Sheffield. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Prosnick. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, consider approval of District Improvement Plan. Dr. Rapp.
This plan has been brought before the board the last couple of months as well, and I know questions were answered about it last month. Be happy to also answer any questions about it this month, but we know you've had time to look at it before now. So I have the District Improvement Plan now. Not quite comparable to policy, I suppose, but I'm excited about it.
Congratulations. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Rapp? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the District Improvement Plan as presented by administration.
Motion by Ms. Timmis. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Hassett. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Consider approval of District of Innovation Committee membership. Mr. Crownover.
Thank you, Madam President. If you thought I was excited that policy was under my office, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be dealing with District of Innovation. So briefly, the back in May, when the board approved the innovation plan, one element you added into the plan, which was not in statute, but the board decided it, or I guess it came from the committee and the board approved, was that there would be an annual review of the plan by the committee, and so that's kind of what this is aimed at. However, there were 12 members of the committee from last year who, for a variety of reasons, I'm told, declined to participate moving forward. Dr. Brockman did the work on this prior to me taking this over, and essentially replace those 12 members with individuals in a similar role was the idea. So if a board member, so I think, for example, Ms. Timish had a replacement, so she recommended someone. So the idea was to keep the same role. Whether that individual person was for or against the District of Innovation plan was not something that was considered. It was really just more who fits the role of the vacancy. So you can see on the sheet there the new members that you have in front of you. I will point out that the last 3 community members, they don't have asterisks by their name, but they should have. I think that was a typo. So there are 9 that are highlighted, and those last 3 would be the 12 new members of the committee. So the administration's recommendation is that the board appoint the LISD District of Innovation Committee membership as listed.
Thank you, Mr. Crowner. Does anyone have any questions? We have a motion.
I move to approve the appointment of the District of Innovation Committee membership as recommended by administration.
Motion by Ms. Timish. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Sells. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Is there any items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda items as is.
Okay, so recommended by administration. Do we have a second? Motion by Mr. Miller, a second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Okay. This concludes the business portion of our meeting. The next item on the agenda is to consider a Level 3 student transfer appeal hearing because personally identifiable information about a public school student will be necessarily be revealed. This hearing will be heard in a closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0821. We will therefore move into closed session at this time to hear the Level 3 student transfer appeal. The time is now 9:05. We are back on the record in open session, having returned from closed session. The time is now 9:21. Does anyone have a motion regarding the student transfer appeal?
Ms. Cox, I move to uphold the Level 2 student transfer appeal decision of administration, and I further move that the board, that's it, never mind.
We have a motion by Ms. Prosnick. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Timish. All in favor? Aye. That's 7-0. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn. Adjourn meeting. Thank you. Time is 9:21.